Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we are going to dive into a very interesting question, namely whether or not Ainz Ooal Gown is actually in control of his body, or if it has taken him over and changed Ainz to an even greater degree than we previously have thought. But before we are going to do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function. And the theory states that Ainz Ooal Gown is actually the Overlord he pretends to be. And it goes like this. While normally a mind is in charge of a body, thanks to Ainz Ooal Gown's new form, and the way his immunity to mind control, for example, suppresses and regulates his emotions, his skill, dark wisdom, or really any other, could actually turn him into the wise and cunning Overlord Ainz desperately tries to be. And all of the thoughts and ideas Ainz has are just a way for his wisdom to explain to Ainz' consciousness why he has to do X, Y, and Z, something that his body deems to be necessary, and to be done in a specific order to achieve a great success. And there are many brilliant moves Ainz Ooal Gown has carried out. For example, at the start of his journey, Ainz Ooal Gown has, upon arriving into the new world, ensured in a first step that the golems of Le Megaton and of the Grand Amphitheater on the 6th floor would all fight for him, before he even confronted and subsequently intimidated his floor guardians and his floor guardian overseer by accidentally activating the first of his 5 auras, the aura of fear, thus inducing an extreme amount of fear, panic, and sheer paralysis into them. Next, he has put together multiple search parties, while also venturing out himself in order to get a clearer picture of the new world, thus creating the alter ego of Momon, someone who is now a key figure in order to control the Sorcerer Kingdom. And from Jerknur's perspective, all of the kindness Ainz Ooal Gown bestowed upon him and the suggestion of an alliance had been nothing short of a brilliant political maneuver in order to bind the Empire to his tomb, and in order to get Demiurge, someone who has demonstrated his ability to mind controls others in front of Jerknur mere minutes ago, into his very own royal palace. And all of these brilliant maneuvers led Ainz to finally subjugate the Empire without any but one single fight, in a public display of his power. And again, all of this had been done by a normal salaryman, without any higher education. In fact, Ainz Ooal Gown has only finished elementary school. So is all of this really just a coincidence? A streak of luck Ainz just has? But even if it is not, and his body is in charge, this control seems not to be complete, because the only time when Ainz fails is because when he fell victim to chance or lack of information on one hand. For example, the confrontation Sheltier suffered was so fatal only because Ainz had neglected to provide his floor guardian, the leaders of his intelligence gathering operation, with the necessary countermeasures to world-class items. Something that, given the limited amount of intel Ainz had a week after being reincarnated, and the fact that Sheltier had been tasked just with abducting some criminals and other elements of society, that wouldn't be missed, or that no one would be surprised if they were found dead in some alleyway. A task something like a world-class item would have been an absolute overkill, and it might actually pose a bigger risk, since it could be stolen or otherwise go missing. So this would just be Ainz Ooal Gown's dark wisdom making the mistake, or rather falling victim to the sheer unlikeliness of certain situations. But the second and far more crucial weakness or misjudgments are his emotions, his blind side to his friends, his state of anger and rage he sometimes finds himself in, despite being normally emotionally suppressed. This had led to some very bad decisions, and while listening to the obvious lies Team Foresight had told him, an adventurer team that was lured into the Great Tomb of Nezarec by Ainz Ooal Gown himself, in order to stage a major political issue in the Empire of Baharut, one that would force Jerknif to explain himself in the heart of the Great Tomb of Nezarec. So listening to those excuses was absurd and illogical, but it was driven by emotion. And therefore Ainz made the decision, rather than his would-be subconsciousness. And the other and even more damaging one of his mistakes was his pity for the daughter of Buku Buku Shagama, Sheltir. Let it be very clear, without his emotional attachment, Ainz would have never even fought this extremely disadvantageous battle against an overpowered enemy that has a great amount of intel and knowledge about him. If his cooler side would have prevailed, Ainz could have sent in Pandora's actor disguised as him, in order to draw out potential hidden forces, or he could have sent in several floor guardians to chip away at Sheltir's health, bit by bit, while they themselves disengage and receive healing magic from Pestonia. Or he could have sent a statement to the enemy that might have been waiting by mobilizing and sending out the forces of the 8th floor, including Rubedo, in order to illustrate just how powerful of a force Nezarec has at his disposal. All of these actions would have been more rational than putting oneself out there against an unknown enemy, while only having Aura, Mare, and one word item as backup. A word item that has failed to contain an enemy player force before, namely his very own. So in conclusion, there's a chance, and I'm not saying that it is likely or that it will happen, but still, there's a chance that this lack of control theory is actually true, at least to a certain extent, and that all of these silly coincidences and unorthodox behavior Ainz Ooal Gown has displayed and justified to himself as a lack of knowledge are just the way he makes sense of his decisions, his perception or his dark wisdom or some other skill provided him with. Ainz Ooal Gown's body could carry out all of these complicated, intricate decisions without the permission or even the knowledge of Ainz Ooal Gown's own mind. Only when his emotions are briefly overpowering him or subtly influencing his decision-making, Ainz Ooal Gown's mind is really in control of his body rather than the other way around. And it would be very interesting, a final plot twist upon the entire story, if this control and the brief moments where Ainz Ooal Gown's emotions are coming true would finally change his own perspective on the tomb, his place in the world, and perhaps his emotional attachment to his friends could finally alert him about Albedo's plan, albeit out of sheer paranoia. And now it's your turn. What are your opinions to this theory? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comment section. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Bad Guy Ye, Ben C, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon under my next video.